Did you know that you, yes you, might actually be wearing haunted underwear right now? And then we take a look at the story of a young ranch hand just doing his job, taking care of those cows, making sure they get back home. But little does the ranch hand know that this group of cows does not bow to any mere human. These cows worship the damned. Today on Dead Rabbit Radio. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Dead Rabbit Radio. I'm your host, Jason Carpenter. I'm having a great day. Hope you guys are having a great day too. It is the beginning of season 30. Show's been going on for a long time. I still love doing it. We're coming back from our break. We're coming back from the Oregon Ghost Conference. I got some news from that. But before we get started on all that news, running into Dead Rabbit Radio Command, everyone get on your feet and give it up for bull balls. Woo! Yeah, you're like, what? I'm all clapping for bull testicles? They're rolling on in. Don't step on them. Don't step on them. Don't eat them either. You're like, oh, think about that, Jason. That's not what I think of when I think of bull balls. Is yummy. Bull balls, that's a guy's name. It's not actually bull balls rolling around in Dead Rabbit Radio Command. Bull balls is the mysterious name that is... Bull balls is the mysterious person who sent me that portable DVD player a couple weeks ago. I talked about that last season. I had a portable DVD player show up in my mail. It was really weird. I didn't order one. I've wanted one, and there was no note with it. I know that listeners can send me gifts through Amazon wish list or whatever, so I really appreciate it. I just didn't have a note. I didn't know who it came from, and I theorized that this would be the perfect way for the government to get a listening device into my place because they could just check my Amazon wish list and send me something from there. So I said that, and then this guy's like, no, I'm actually not with the government. I did send you the DVD player. I didn't know there was a place to leave a note. So, bull balls, that mystery's been solved. And that is why bull balls... I actually have more of that mystery in a second, but anyways, before we get on to that... Since Bull Balls sent me something off of my wish list, and I really appreciate it, Bull Balls is going to be our captain, our pilot this episode. If you guys can't support the show financially through the Patreon or through the merch store or through the Amazon wish list, it's totally fine. It really is. Just help spread the word about Dead Rabbit Radio. That helps out so much. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell everyone you know. Dead Rabbit Radio is your favorite paranormal show. That is how you can help the show grow. Bull Balls, let's go ahead and get this party started. I'm going to toss you the keys. Let's go classic to the Jason Jalopy. Everyone climb on board this rickety old chitty bang bang car. Is Bull Balls, drives us out of Dead Rabbit Radio Command all the way out to Seaside, Oregon. We're driving out there. I got to be honest. Talking back to the DVD player, remember I said, did the government send it to me? I mean, like... That wasn't I didn't believe that 100%, but I thought, it's possible. That's what I would do if I was the government. I would send people stuff they wanted, but I would use it to spy on them. If somebody wanted... so basically, you're evil Santa Claus. I'm just looking at people's wish lists. Let's use this government money to buy them gifts, but secretly, we're spying on them. I said, well, I wonder if that's where the DVD player came from. It came from Bull Balls, who claims... he doesn't work for the government. Here's the crazy thing about the story. It's missing. I can't find the portable DVD player anywhere. I was looking for it. I wanted to watch a movie the other night. I was looking all over for it. I can't find it. So, one of two things. My place is so messy and chaotic, I can lose a giant chunk of electronic equipment and not be able to locate it. I've looked for it for days. I can't find it anywhere. Sorry, Bull Balls. Basically, yes, you bought me a gift and I lost it. I don't know where it's at. Either it's somewhere in my place, I just can't find it, or the government retrieved it. It's probably the first one, right? It's probably the first one, let's be honest. And I will find it at some point, I guess, but I just don't know where it could be. I wanted to watch a movie. So basically, if anyone out there has enough money to buy me another portable DVD player, no, I'm just joking. I'll find it eventually. But when I lost it, I thought, and again, that's when you're a conspiracy theorist, those thoughts pop in your head. Maybe the government got it. But, you can't dwell on it too much, right? You can just maybe find the DVD player and go, oh, I guess I was wrong. You can't dwell on these conspiracy theories. That's how you go crazy. And again, I don't think that blue balls works for the government. Not blue balls, sorry. Bull balls. There's a big difference between the two. But, yeah, I can't find it now. So basically, I got a free gift and I lost it and I didn't know who gave it to me. But now we know. Now I just got to find it. Anyways, let's go ahead and start this off because I recently spoke at the Oregon Ghost Conference. This is something I've been doing for years. It's always a lot of fun. This is the first year. Oh, and I met a bunch of listeners. A bunch of the listeners came out to watch the speech at Oregon Ghost Conference, and you guys are all going to get shout-outs in future episodes. Really, really appreciate it when people come out. This was the first year that I actually did an original topic. So we're actually going to be talking about some of the stuff that I've never mentioned on the show. This is the first time I've ever done that. Usually, like, my first presentation was, why are there no fat ghosts? And then I did a presentation on, can ghosts tell time? And I've done different things like that. Does the government have a group of agents who hunts ghosts like we know they track alien sightings? And did the government steal my DVD player? I'm not continuing my speech until someone gives me a new one. This was the first one, Haunted Underwear, where I had really no content for. I had to go find it before the speech, which was nice for me too, because everything was new that I was talking about. So we're going to talk about some of that stuff on today's episode and upcoming episodes, because I've never discussed it before on the show. I did want to share a couple of the things real quick I learned at the Oregon Ghost Conference. First off, timing is everything would be a good thing to learn at a ghost conference. There were great paranormal speakers as well. But just give you an idea of what it's like when you guys listen to the show, right? That's basically what I'm getting at. You guys listen to the show. You know the type of content I cover. Oregon Ghost Conference, Port Gamble Ghost Conference, they're family-friendly events. So I gotta be, careful, what I talk about. I'm like, and next year I'm gonna talk about mucking. And here's some videos I made. Here's some AI-generated videos I made of what mucking is. It's just a man covered in horse poop. First off, I thought this was just funny anecdotes, then we'll get to the actual topics. But anyways, before I got on stage, there was a young woman, a presenter, Stephanie. I don't have let me go grab the booklet so I can give her a real name. There was a young woman who gave a presentation on communicating with animals spiritually. And I've watched her presentations before. Stephanie is her first name. I don't remember her last name. But anyways, I've attended her presentations before. She went on right before me, so I was kind of distracted, obviously. I was going over my notes. I didn't practice it, right? I didn't practice it at all. It's just like, I hope this works. I hope all these crazy stories work. And she did a presentation about talking to animals spiritually. And, like communicating with doves. And I'm not saying any of this stuff to mock her. I think it's actually a legit thing. I do think you can communicate with all sorts of things spiritually. But I'm going to have to use some examples that she didn't necessarily use because I really wasn't paying attention. No insult. I was just looking through my notes. Whatever comes out of your mouth is going to be pretty insulting. No, I hope not, actually. She would talk about, you see a cat in your front yard that you're not familiar with, and you can send out a spiritual message to it that this is a warm and safe place. And the cat can respond to you simply by then hanging out at your house more often. That type of thing, right? And she was talking about, this was a kind of a specific example, that there was a banana slug that was walking around her driveway or something like that. And she was communicating with the banana slug. And it turned around. And then, came back her way. She's holding a big box of salt. She's like, I want to salt you. She has an item at her back. But I'm not sending out that symbol. I'm picturing a giant banana, and it's making you horny. Banana slug comes back over. She talked about communicating with animals. Really cool stuff, right? Well, then me, of course, because I didn't think about it, I go up on the stage. I'm stepping on a bunch of slugs. As I'm walking up on stage, it's like, this is my good luck charm. Squish, squish, squish. No, I get up on stage, and I've read all of these stories maybe twice. I actually like doing the presentations without a lot of preparation. If I prepare more, it loses a lot of the spontaneity. I get up on stage, probably would avoid things like this. I get up on stage and I'm talking about haunted underwear. I'm talking about cursed items, specifically clothing and jewelry. And not really cursed, because that makes you think like a gypsy placed the curse on something. It was intentional. These are things that are infused with negative energy or possibly even a human or demonic spirit. So it's a little harsher than just a cursed ring, which could ruin your life. This could be a part of a human soul trapped in this particular item. Anyways, I'm going through my stories, and I was like, hey, everyone, talking about this, that, or the other thing. And I'm turning the pages, and I look down, and I say during the speech, I go, this next one, I apologize for, right? This next story I apologize for, especially coming after Stephanie, who did such a great presentation about talking to animals. And then I proceed to tell a story about this woman who had a particular necklace, a cage necklace, which apparently is something you put jewels in or gems. And she goes, every time I wore it and I drove that day, I ran over an animal. And, not like the worst possible thing I could have said. I didn't go, and then she went and got mucked. She got mucked up to her neck. People were like, what's mucking? I was like, let me turn on this video to show you. No, I felt kind of bad, right? Because she's talking about communicating with animals spiritually. Beautiful stuff. I believe that you can do that. And then as a throwaway story, I had like 20 stories, right? I probably could have skipped it, actually, but I did think it was interesting. I tell a story about a woman who keeps running over cats and dogs and all sorts of animals. A bunch of banana slugs. They would have been safe had they not turned around. If they kept going straight, she wouldn't have hit any of them. But someone was calling out to those banana slugs. No, stuff like that happens when I speak live. I actually had 2 stories where animals got killed. I don't remember what the other one was, but it was something just like that. It was unnecessary animal murder. I didn't go into detail. I didn't start doing sound effects like I do on the show. The car hit the cat. It slid 30 feet, spreading cat gut all along the way. A musician runs out on the street, scoops it up to make a violin. That's a funny joke, actually. Too bad you think about that when I was on stage. I actually felt just kind of bad. I covered another story. I don't remember what it was, that same topic. And I apologize to the previous speaker, but this story doesn't end well for pets either. But, that whatever. I feel bad about it. The worst part, though, was the one thing I talked about during the speech was something I have covered before on this show. Like everything else, it was an hour-long presentation. Everything else was original, except for one story. That's the story of the Necropants, which we covered on the podcast quite a ways back. I'll put the episode in the show notes. Really interesting stuff. In short, it's basically this Icelandic ritual where basically, overview, you skin a dead man from the waist down, you dry the skin out, and then you put his skin on. The pants are made out of his skin, and you have to steal a coin from a poor widow and put it in the nutsack. And then from then on out, you have the necropants on. Anytime you need money, you just reach into the gonads of this dead man. They're basically your balls at this point as well. If ever you need money, as long as the original coin isn't removed, you can reach into the nutsack and pull out money. So, why does this money smell like oleander trees? Pewee! It just smells like semen wherever you go. Dead man semen is even worse. Anyway, so I'm telling this story, and you're like, I thought it was family friendly. Yeah, it is family friendly, right? So I tried not to go into too much detail, but I swear, like I'm doing the presentation and I'm looking out of the audience and gauging reactions as you speak. That's kind of a pretty normal public speaking thing. I think other people do that. And I'm talking about running over animals, and I'm talking about how funny it would be if my girlfriend got possessed by the spirit of a Vietnam soldier. We'll get to that story in a second. Typical Dead Rabbit Radio stuff. Then I get to the Necropants, and as I'm describing the mechanism of it, right? That you put the coin in the gonads, and you got to reach into the ball sack of this dead man, pull out money. For whatever reason, a school bus decided to pull up and a field trip was taking place, because as I'm trying to tell that story, I look out into the audience, and right when I'm about to say scrotum, or ball sack, or dead man's skin wrapped around your own, a 7-year-old would walk past. And I was like, okay, and I would pause, and I obviously have a microphone, so it's not like I can whisper. I can, but it's going to be just as loud. I look and a 10-year-old walks past, and I was like, so yeah, then all you got to do is stick your hand into the, and then a kid walks by, and it's I had not seen really any kids up until this point. Probably over the course of the next 10 minutes as I'm trying to tell this story, a bunch of kids are walking by. is super annoying. I want to talk about balls. I want to talk about dead man's testicles. And no, I mean, what are you going to do, right? I got to finish the speech, and I did, start to stumble there. I think the speech still went well. Had a lot of fun, met a lot of you guys. We're going to be doing a lot of shout-outs coming up. A lot of fun. But let's talk real quick here about two stories. They're very short that I found while I was doing research for the haunted underwear story. First off, we're going to meet a young man. Let's call him Barry. And Barry is hanging out at a thrift store. He's going through the aisles. He's like, oh, look at this. A board game for 59 cents. 59 cents? I always love buying board games or puzzles at thrift stores because, man, if you don't know whether or not you're an optimist or a pessimist, only an optimist will buy a puzzle at a thrift store because you're really banking on humans to be kind to each other and include all of the pieces in the puzzle or all of the game pieces. He's walking around a thrift store and he sees a military-style jacket is how it's described. And he goes, oh, this is dope. It totally fits. Now I can walk around looking like John Rambo. Military jackets, especially older military jackets, they do kind of have a cool vibe to them. The newer ones look kind of geeky with all the digital camo. I mean, I'm sure it does better hiding you from bullets. So good on you, right, for not dying. But they look dorky. The old military jackets do make you feel like John Rambo. They make you feel like some crazy dude who survived the worst that the world could throw at him. He's still wearing his jacket, right? He's wearing digital camo. I can't see him. It's super effective, but I'm just start walking around town going, nerd, and then eventually I see a guy moving. He's wearing digital camo. I was like, I didn't know where you were, but I knew you would cry because I knew you knew I was talking about you and your nerdy clothes. Barry buys this Vietnam-era jacket, but what happens is he takes it home. That night he has a dream. He's running through the jungle. Hey, he's over there. Get him. Bullets shooting at him. Barry wakes up. He's like, what? Oh, a horrible nightmare. Running? I don't like to run in real life, let alone in my sleep. Oh, man. My legs are astrally tired. Oh, I got cramps. Doesn't really think anything of it, though. A couple nights later, he has a dream. Sun's beating down through the jungle foliage. It's so hot. Oh, what are we doing over here? Why do we have to fight this war? As he's digging a hole in the middle of the jungle. And someone's like, pipe down, recruit. You know why we're fighting this war. We're fighting this war for America. And Barry's like, oh, it's just so... You think it's a long lecture about the history of America? He's like, okay, can someone just blow me up? Okay, I'll just keep digging holes. Why did I ask that question? All of a sudden, gunfire. Barry's running through the jungle. He wakes up. And he has multiple dreams, nightmares really, of being in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. And it happens so many times, eventually he goes, wait a second, I've never had any dreams about this at all until I bought that jacket. So he ends up getting rid of the jacket, and the nightmare stopped. And that's what I mean by haunted objects. Not cursed. I had a story, I didn't tell it at the conference, but this woman, she posted online, she goes, yeah, me and my husband, or at the time, my boyfriend, he proposed to me. He bought me an engagement ring. And when I showed it to my future mother-in-law, who hates me, by the way, she snatched the ring off my finger and turned away and started going, blah, 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 speaking this crazy language. And then she threw the ring at me, and I put it on. And wouldn't you know, we've had nothing but bad luck since we got married. Yes, probably, because it's cursed. You idiot. You actually saw her put a curse on it, and then put the ring back on. So that's a cursed object, and a dumb person involved in that story. That's a curse, right? Bad luck. Haunting can cause bad luck as well, but that's kind of different versus this jacket. I don't think anyone actually put a curse on this jacket. But the young man that this jacket originally belonged to left a lot of psychic energy on it. And possibly also died. Probably not in it. They didn't say that it was riddled with bullet holes, but the jacket also had to make it back to the States. But it's possible this was the jacket he actually wore in Vietnam, and he had all these horrible experiences. And his psychic fear and anger, everything, seeping into that jacket, and then he gets rid of it, and the jacket is still haunted. And it is also possible that he continued to wear the jacket here in the United States and did die. That was something I talked about. I thrift store all the time. I go to thrift stores all the time. And I donate stuff to thrift stores all the time, so I never really considered that most of the stuff at a thrift store may be coming from a dead person. I don't know what the percentage is. I don't think it's 50-50. I think most of it is from living people just trying to clean out their closets. But there probably is a good 10 to 20% that comes from dead people. Okay, let's get back on track. I got totally sidetracked and started talking about movies I bought at a Goodwill and went on for about 10 minutes. It's fascinating, I think, but I mean, at this point, I think everything is fascinating. My bar is quite low. But forget about all that stuff that you didn't hear. Let's continue on with our cursed stories, or haunted. Again, I keep using the words interchangeably, but that's not what I mean. Let's talk more about haunted underwear, haunted clothing. We just did the story about the army jacket, and the guy had those horrible nightmares running through the jungles of Vietnam. Let's go ahead and take a look at another story. We're going to call this dude Barrett, and he's dating a girl. We'll call her Melinda. And Barrett, one day he's walking down the street and he finds a ring laying on the ground. He describes it as a military-styled ring. Now, I think it's like, you know, when you graduate high school, you can get those rings from Jostens that has, like, the name of your high school and, like, a big gem in the middle. It's like so you can show people you graduated high school. And then people get them for college as well. Maybe they have the same thing for the military. Maybe it's like, oh, you've killed 100 people. Here's your shiny ring. Bing! Maybe it's like if you're an airborne and you finish airborne school, you graduate. You're like, yes, when you jump, you land. Wow, who have thought that would have happened? It's kind of easy to pass those airborne wimps. Anyone can do that. Anyone can fall and land. Maybe it's like that, a insignia ring. Well, anyways, Barrett said he found a military-styled ring on the side of the road. It had a cracked gemstone. But he goes, oh, this is really cool. I think I'm going to try to fix it. I could easily fix this gemstone in this ring. So he takes it home. This is probably like a hobby of his, I'm assuming. So he takes it home. And what happens is, he didn't put two and two together when this was all going on. It wasn't until he eventually fully repaired the ring and then either gave it away or sold it, got rid of it, that he really was able to put two and two together. But looking back on it now, he goes, oh, well, maybe the ring I picked up off the ground was haunted. He said he brought home this ring, and he started to notice his girlfriend, Melanie, began to act differently. She seemed overtly paranoid. So he's like sitting there in the living room, and she walks in, she's looking around. Like, oh, that's weird. She doesn't normally moan in fear every time she enters a room. She doesn't constantly check the corners, looking over her shoulder, make sure Charlie is not sneaking up behind her. No, she was just a normal person, but now she seemed overtly paranoid. But again, who would you, if you think about it, when you buy something or find something, you find like a black orb with a screaming soul in it, you take it home, your girlfriend's all, ah! Flame shooting out of her eyeballs. You're like, I don't know, it could be unrelated. If you got something and then your girlfriend started acting weird, doesn't necessarily mean that the object caused the weirdness. He also began to notice, though, that he would be deep asleep in the middle of the night and he would be startled awake because his girlfriend would begin screaming in the middle of the night, incoming! Johnson, I need those supplies! Emil, get that ammo onto that gun! Ah! He's like, what? Who's Emil? Should I be concerned about Emil and Johnson? Who's bringing my girlfriend supplies? She would just start freaking out in the middle of the night and would wake him up out of a dead sleep. He doesn't think anything of it. Well, obviously he thinks something wrong with his girlfriend, but he doesn't think it has anything to do with the ring. A couple nights later, deep asleep, where are our reinforcements? Keep digging that trench, guys. Hurry up, the bad guys are coming. Look out, they're coming over the hill. Johnson, Emil, no! Oh, I'm holding their faces. They're covered in goo. Apparently we're fighting Slimer. They've become goo, she corrects herself. He's like, what? Well, at least I don't have to worry about Emil or Johnson anymore. I'm no longer jealous. Who's jealous of goo? He goes, what? Why is she having these dreams about war? And not only is she having dreams about war, she doesn't remember them when she wakes up. She's just screaming at the top of her lungs like she's in the middle of some battle. He's like, what? She also began to have bruises appear on her body, mysterious bruises. And she'd be like, hey, honey, last night, did I say anything weird in the middle of the night? Why do I mince Johnson and Emil? Who are they? Oh, why did they left such a hole in my heart? And why do I have these bruises? Look at these bruises, honey. And Barrett's like, yeah, that's weird. You have a bruise on your back, but I don't know where you're from. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea why your military-related trauma is somehow related to this military ring. Now, here's the thing. He didn't tell her that he had found this ring, because it was just kind of just another day for him. I think this is what he does. He doesn't really, tell her, hey, honey, look what I found, and hold up a cracked, gemstoned military ring. No, he just takes it home and starts working on it. She doesn't even know that he has this. She just begins to experience this phenomenon, and then eventually he finishes the ring, and he sells it or gives it away. And that is when all the phenomenon with his girlfriend stopped. And he looks back on it and he goes, I wonder if those two things were connected. I wonder if the ring from Military Man and the visions of death and torment on the battlefield, I wonder if those two things were related. And he does think they were related when he posted this up. He goes, I think that somehow the ring was affecting her. So again, that's a haunting. It's an interesting story. When I told it on stage, I said, this actually seems pretty entertaining. I would love to have a ring that made my girlfriend go insane. It'd actually be pretty entertaining. I'd repair it, but I'd be like, I'm going to keep this for a couple more days. I want to know if this battle is successful. I want to know if the good guys win. But then I got to the part where she was covered in bruises, and I realized, I probably shouldn't have made that joke earlier. Probably not a good idea to make a joke about possible domestic violence in my ghost. That wasn't my intent, obviously. I wasn't saying I wanted to have a girlfriend covered in bruises. But again, I'd only read the story twice before I had been talking out loud about it. And I was like, oh, great. That's going to... A bunch of kids are sitting down there all, Mommy, what's domestic violence? And why is the man laughing so hard about it? I wasn't laughing, kids. At least I didn't know that's what I was laughing at. And then, so we're running out of time. This week's been weird. I actually forgot I was supposed to do 2 episodes this week. I realized that halfway through recording this one. I was like, uh-oh. We're not going to have enough time for the cow story, though. I want to do a couple more haunted underwear stories. It was funny for the people who came out and visited me. They're like, I've already heard all this stuff. I made a special trip to see you. And you're just revisiting it. I don't know if I've said this yet because I'm recording this part later. Everyone who did come out to see me, who I was able to talk to, you guys are all going to get shout-outs, your own individual episodes in driving the vehicles and being the pilot and all of that stuff. You guys' episodes are coming up. And then Bull Balls is going to be back for tomorrow's episode to thank you for the gift, the DVD player. And we've got new Patreons and everything. Show's really growing. I'm so impressed. I'm so not impressed by me, but by you guys spreading the word and getting the word out. Let me go ahead and tell 2 more haunted underwear stories. We'll wrap it up. You go, Jason, you haven't really mentioned anything about underwear. The closest was the Necropants. Yeah, I didn't really have it was kind of a clickbait title. The other stories I have, that was a ring and a jacket. And then I have I have a ton of them. We're not going to be able to fit them all into this episode. We're going to be spreading them out. But I did want to cover 2 more today. I came across the story of a woman who she liked to make quilts. This is one of the stories I told at the Ghost Conference. And, longtime listeners of the show know that I say, yeah, there's a woman, she loves to make quilts and she loves rescue quilts. She'll find abandoned quilts from thrift stores and stuff like that, take them home and finish them. I then proceeded for the next 5 minutes to make fun of anyone who quilted. I was like, since I have the stage, let me tell you how that's the dumbest thing possible. And shame on you if you like quilting. There's a difference between recording in a vacuum like I do on this episode, and then I used to do live episodes where I could hear people No, I actually muted everyone when I was recording the episode. It's something quite different to be doing an episode and looking out at the faces of people. And some of them really intrigued. Some of them laughing. They're having a good time with the content. And other people just kind of grimacing. And other people just kind of glaring at me. They're like, well, it's not that bad. They're all quilting during the ghost conference. I was making you a quilt. A ghost quilt. But no, I'm not gonna. I proceeded for the next, 5 minutes to say that quilting's stupid and boring. Listen, it is, right? Again, I'm sorry if you're making me a quilt right now. I'm not saying I don't like quilts. Quilts are warm, but the process of making a quilt is boring to me. Anyways, so I was trying to read the audience, and a couple of them didn't like that part. They're like, get back to the dead animals, you monster. Quilting's the best. This woman, she did rescue quilts. We'll call her Abby. Abby liked to fix quilts. Well, she finds a quilt at a thrift store, and she takes it home. She's going to start working on it. She puts it on the foot of her bed until she gets to it. And again, she doesn't make a connection in the beginning. It takes her a couple nights to realize this. She takes the quilt home, throws it on the foot of her bed. That night she has a horrible dream of a man. A man, and he has a bunch of kids in cages. Pipe down, you kids! What, you think being in a cage is bad? It's actually, okay, you can complain a little bit, but not too much, because if you guys keep complaining, I'm gonna beat you with this stick. So I didn't laugh, right? I didn't laugh at all during that part. She had a dream of a man tormenting children in cages. Off-putting dream. He doesn't know where that came from. But a night or two later, I don't think all of these dreams were one a night, but could have been. She didn't specify. What we do know is that eventually she has another dream, and it's the same thing. Hey, kids! Get back in your cages. And we're already in a cage. He's like, oh yeah, I'm putting the little cages in a bigger cage. He's all doing a little tap dance. She wakes up. She's like, what? That was weird. Why would you need to put several small cages of kids into one large, giant cage full of cages of kids? Multiple times she has this dream of a man tormenting children in cages. And after like the fourth or fifth dream, she goes, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure there's something wrong with that quilt. The quilt is pictures of kids in cages. They're all, She goes, that's weird. I've never had that type of nightmare before. It's really disturbing to me. I've had it multiple times now, and I never had it before getting the quilt. She says that she ended up getting rid of the quilt she got at the thrift store, and she never had the dreams again. It's interesting, too, because when we use the term get rid of, this does trip a lot of people up. How do you get rid of a haunted item or a cursed item? This question gets asked a lot online. I see a lot of people saying, we have X, whatever item it is, and it's causing these troubles. What do we do now? I'm thinking about, and then they'll say burning it or destroying it and stuff like that. The general consent, the fact is we don't really know. Even the most experienced paranormal researcher, we don't really know how to deal with a lot of these items. We don't know. There's different ways, and some may make it better. But what a lot of paranormal researchers will agree on is destroying it can often make it worse. You go out and you burn the quilt, there's a chance you're actually going to unleash whatever is stored up in there. And now it doesn't have a form. Imagine if you had a tornado in a mason jar. And it's dangerous, right? The mason jar is rolling all over the house. It's flying around. It's hitting you in the face when you least expect it. But that's probably a bad example because that can actually kill you. Well, I guess a haunted item can as well. You have this tornado in a mason jar, and you go, I don't know what to do with it. I know. What if I just smash the jar? That'll get rid of it. And now you've unleashed the tornado, and it has no more restraint. Has no more limit. Now there's a full-on tornado in your house. Bad analogy, but I think you guys follow what I'm saying. Don't burn the quilt. Don't cut it up into a million pieces, thinking that that will help. Listen, there's the off chance that it might, but most paranormal researchers agree we don't know how to deal with a lot of these items. However, there are probably ways not to, and destroying it tends to be a bad way to handle these. Selling them or giving them away, often can work. You gotta wonder, though, like the guy, he fixed the ring. Barrett fixed the ring and he sold it or he gave it away to someone. There's a chance, what's funny is, remember, the ring didn't affect Barrett himself, it affected his girlfriend. There's a chance that you could give it to someone and they wouldn't be sensitive enough to pick up on the nightmares of combat. That ring had probably been around a lot of people and it hadn't affected anyone. It's also interesting, though, because remember, he found it on the side of the road. You imagine the previous owner may not have been the man who originally owned the ring. Someone else could have had the ring and it was causing them these horrible nightmares, or someone in their household these horrible nightmares, so they got rid of it the best way they could think of. They threw it out of their car. You know, having a cursed quilt, the guy who donated the quilt, most likely, the guy who donated the quilt to Goodwill, most likely wasn't the guy keeping the kids in cages. It may have been one of the children themselves who grew up, or a family member of the man who was tormenting these kids, like a wife sharing a household with a monster. And all of this energy, all of this psychic energy is being loaded into this quilt, not on purpose, not like a cursed item, but a haunted item. It could have had one owner before these people came in contact with them. They could have had multiple owners. We don't know. And so if you can give it away or sell it, then you can have this torment leave your home. The problem is that, like, the woman with the ring, the woman with the quilt, she says, I just got rid of the quilt. Doesn't say she destroyed it. It would not be nice to then take it back to the Goodwill, because you figure it's going to curse someone else. The guy with the ring didn't think anything of it until he got rid of the ring. So he sold it or gave it away, however, and so he has no moral issues with it. If you came across an item that was cursed or haunted like this, there's proper ways to get rid of it. I told this at the conference, and I also told this story a long time ago on the podcast, where I came across a haunted basketball. I don't know what was going on. It was weird. But anyways, I got a lot of bad luck. I stole a basketball, okay? Let's just start off the story the way that it really is. I saw a basketball on the side of the street next to a house, and I took it because I wanted a basketball. But it wasn't mine. It belonged to someone in that neighborhood. And I started having a real run of bad luck. I'm a very lucky person in general, so I can tell when my luck's turned. And I was able to narrow it down. What's the thing that I've come into contact with most recently? Because I have such good luck all the time that when it turns, I can kind of narrow it down. So what am I going to do? Like, my first instinct was to pop the basketball. But I know enough that I know that's not a good idea. So I just threw it over the fence. I was walking down the street and I went to a school and I threw it over the fence of the school. I go, whatever. I mean, listen, morally, I'm wrong on multiple levels. I shouldn't have stole the basketball, and I definitely shouldn't have thrown it over the fence. But I thought, I have to get rid of it, and it's possible. Let's say I throw it over this high school fence, right? 80 kids are going to play basketball with this thing. That bad luck's going to be spread out. Also, there's the chance that none of them will steal it and bring it home, and it'll just end up in a ball bin where the bad luck will slowly seep off. I didn't want to destroy it. Though that is your natural inclination, though. It's very interesting. Even knowing what I know, my first thought was to destroy the basketball. I wonder if that's part of the item itself wanting to be released. Like whatever's inside of it wanting to get out. So when it says, why don't you just destroy me? Because most people, when they post online talking about this stuff, they say, should I destroy it? And even I had that inclination. And knowing better, I didn't do that. But yeah, so there's 3 stories. I was going to... Do I have time to tell one more? I think I do. We told the quilt one. I don't want to rush one. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm going to tell this one. This is one I didn't tell at the Ghost Conference, and it kind of talks about how difficult it can be to get rid of some of these items. And I didn't tell this one at the Ghost Conference, so we'll wrap it up like this. We're about to meet a young woman. Let's call her Becky. She inherits from her grandmother. Her grandmother dies and leaves Becky a onyx ring. I'm assuming other things as well. It probably just didn't get the ring, but... She goes, my grandma was a big thrift store enthusiast, so I assume that's where she got the ring from. She wasn't sure. And Becky goes, but I'm sure, but I just have the feeling that my grandma got this ring from a thrift store, this black onyx ring. And once Becky comes into possession of it, she doesn't feel right about it. Something feels off. And not that she just puts it on and gets like a rash or something like that. Everything in her life starts to go sideways. Once she becomes the owner of this Onyx ring, she gets involved in 2 separate car accidents in the same weekend. And she breaks up with her boyfriend. Probably because she hit him with a car twice. He gets hit the first time. He's like, honey, if you do that again, it's over. Runs over him again. I don't know if she broke up with her boyfriend on the same weekend, but 2 car accidents, she breaks up with her boyfriend. Then a bunch of other stuff was happening. More minor stuff. Can't find the remote. Gum stuck to the roof of her mouth. Steps on a tack. Just basic things. And actually it does say that she did get other items from the grandma. She says at first she doesn't know what's causing it. She does kind of zero in on her recent acquisition of a couple items, one of those being the Onyx ring. And once she is kind of able to narrow it down, she's taking different items on car rides with her. She's like, oh, another successful ride. Nobody killed. Let me try this other thing. And she puts in a basketball. Brought this basketball home from the high school. I'll drive around with this basketball. Eventually she realizes it's through a process of elimination, I guess. She realizes it is the Onyx ring. But here's the thing, she doesn't want to get rid of it. Because it is from her grandmother. So how do you get rid of something that you don't want to get rid of? You want to remove it from your sphere of influence. You don't want to get rid of it. You don't want to destroy it. She decides to get a little plastic box. And she puts the Onyx ring in the box. And she walks out to the property line of her house, where she shares with her family. There's a stump out on the property line, and it has a hole in it, like a knot hole. With squirrels digging their way through and all that stuff. She takes the plastic box that contains the ring and she puts it inside of the stump. And she goes, okay, so I figured this is fair. It's literally off of our property, but it's right on the property line, so it's still kind of close, and it's not like I threw Grandma's ring away. She wanted me to have it. For some reason, she did often hate me. I noticed she would always pray for car accidents every Thanksgiving. But, I don't want to get rid of it. It's from Grandma. But I can't have it with me. This is probably the best place for me to put it. But she puts the ring in the box and puts the box in the tree stump and then walks back to her home. The next morning, as she's waking up, she hears a jing-a-lang-langle, jang-a-lang-a-langle, jang-a-lang-a-lang. Hey, Becky, look at this, jang-a-lang-a-langle. She's like, what? And she opens her eyes, and standing over her she doesn't specifically say, but one of her family members, sister, brother, I don't know, mom. She goes, I woke up the next morning and one of her family members was standing there holding the plastic box. And they were shaking it as she was waking up. And Becky's like, what are you doing with that? And the person goes, oh, Becky, dude, isn't this crazy? Look. That Onyx ring you got from Grandma? They found it out of the tree stump. Becky's like, who found it? There was a local surveyor guy from the county or the city or something like that was coming through the area. He was doing his job and he found this in the tree stump right on our property line. Isn't that crazy? Didn't Grandma give this to you? Jingle, jingle, jingle. Jingle, jingle, jingle. And that's when Becky realized this is a serious problem. She goes, I try to get rid of it in the most humane, that might not be the right word, but the most humane way of doing it, right? Not just throwing it in the trash because my grandma gave it to me. But it was not out of my possession more than 24 hours before it found its way back into my bedroom. What are the chances of a surveyor working for the city coming through and for whatever reason having to stick their hand into the stump? Probably wasn't part of the job. Maybe they were looking for fresh squirrel meat. Maybe something caught their eye. Maybe something spoke to them. I don't know. It was just yesterday I put that ring there. And it found its way back like... She said that was the final straw. She couldn't get away from it. She knew whatever steps she took, it would find its way back. if she continued to take steps that, put it somewhere just outside your property. She said she ended up getting rid of the ring, quote, for good, unquote. And I don't know what that means. She didn't elaborate. Did she take it out to the dump? Did she throw it into a lake? Shouldn't destroy it, but you can get rid of it in ways that it would make it less likely to come back. However, if the item wanted to come back, it would come back. That is something that is possible. A deep sea fisherman getting a big thing of trout or sturgeon or whatever lives in the deep sea, a kraken for Red Lobster's Kraken Fest. And while they're scooping all that up, the ring comes up in a fish's mouth. Oh. I mean, the address is on the back. It's not like he knows exactly who to send it to. But if this ring is calling out to people to find its way back to Becky, it's almost like you wouldn't need to have an address. The fisherman could find the ring and then end up giving it to his kid. And then his kid ends up trading it for some Pokemon cards to someone else. And then that person's family ends up taking a vacation in Becky's neighborhood. It's a very fantastic neighborhood. The Kraken was recently sighted off the coast. You know what I mean? Like, if it wants to find its way back, it will find its way back just through what would appear to a skeptic as coincidence is really a ring finding its way back home. And the crazy thing is I just thought of this, there's a chance that that ring is already on its journey back to Becky. She doesn't know it yet. Through all of these strange connections and coincidences and synchronicities, that ring could slowly find its way back. The kid whose family comes to this area on vacation loses the ring and it rolls across the road. It gets embedded in somebody's tire. That person goes to the mechanic. The mechanic goes, "That's weird. I've never seen a ring lodged into a Michelin tire," but, pulls the ring out, sets it aside. And all of these things are going on. And Becky feels that she's lifted this curse. It's pretty serious stuff, right? A relationship ends in 2 car accidents in 1 weekend. She feels like she's lifted the curse, but one day she's out and about and she starts to feel off. She starts to feel that sense of impending doom. She looks up and sees a beautiful sunny sky, laughing families walking around town. She doesn't know why she has this feeling. Is it an anxiety attack? I don't know. She continues about her day, shopping, hanging out, having fun. She gets in her car. She starts driving back home. Perfect weather. Nobody could understand what happened next. Nobody could understand why Becky lost control of her car onto that straightaway. Flat, straight road. Beautiful, clear skies. No other traffic anywhere near her. Yet when they found Becky's car, it was off the road. Overturned at least 3 or 4 times until it landed on its hood. The car is a complete mess, totally mangled. Becky's broken body. Crushed. Becky died that day. No one could figure out how she lost control of the car. The car had actually just recently, about a week ago, gotten out of the auto shop for just a quick tune-up, right? One of those 30,000-mile tune-ups. You go to the same mechanic they always go to. There's nothing wrong with the car. But when people were trying to piece together what happened that day, why Becky died on an otherwise completely normal, safe driving day in a safe vehicle on a safe road, nobody noticed that stuck underneath the floorboard of the driver's seat was Grandma's Onyx ring. Somehow, in a 1,000,001 chance, that ring found its way back to Becky's town, found its way back to Becky's neighborhood, found its way back into Becky's auto shop, and somehow ended up back in Becky's car. Even if they found the ring, they wouldn't think this was the cause of the accident. Who would think such an odd thought, especially at a time of such grief and loss? But in the world of the paranormal, we have to be open to all of these possibilities. In the world of the weird, simply getting rid of an item for good does not mean that it cannot find its way back to you. If it wants to, it will. Maybe that's why the urge to destroy these items is so great, because the threat they pose is like that of a predator stalking its prey. If I destroy it, the threat is possibly gone for good. If I don't destroy it, what happens if it finds its way back to me? Becky thought she had rid herself of this item and rid herself of its evil influence. But that was wrong. She only delayed the inevitable. That ring was destined to take Becky's life. And it would fulfill that mission, no matter how deep you tried to bury it. Right now I should add in a basketball sound effect. A boing, a boing, a boing. I'm like, no, he's back. Ah! Basketball's coming back for me. DeadRabbitRadio@gmail.com is going to be our email address. You can also hit us up at Facebook.com/DeadRabbitRadio. TikTok is at @DeadRabbitRadio. Dead Rabbit Radio is the daily paranormal, conspiracy, and true crime podcast. You don't have to listen to it every day, but I'm so glad you listened to it today. I'm glad to be back. Glad you're back. Have a great one, guys.